Overlord, the multiverse, Chapter 81, Chapter 81, Confession of Avatar. Raynor sighed, her expression resigned. I'm here on a mission from my superiors, she admitted reluctantly. They believe there's a powerful sacred gear hidden in this town, and they want me to find it. Albedo, with a look of genuine curiosity, piped up, what's a sacred gear? Raynor's incredulous gaze fell on Albedo, as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. It was as if Albedo had just asked if the sky was blue or if water was wet. You don't know what a sacred gear is? Raynor asked, her tone laced with disbelief. It's like asking if a dragon knows how to breathe fire. Albedo blinked in confusion, clearly taken aback by Raynor's reaction. No, she replied, looking to me for confirmation. Before we arrived in this world, I only told Albedo some basic stuff about it, and in that basic stuff, I forgot to mention sacred gear. Silly me. I couldn't help but chuckle at the exchange. Well, Albedo, a sacred gear is a powerful artifact bestowed upon humans by God, I explained. They grant their wielders incredible abilities, but they're also highly sought after by various factions. And the interesting fact about sacred gear is only humans or half humans can possess one. Talk about discrimination, I added. Raynor nodded in agreement, her frustration subsiding slightly. Exactly, she said, shooting Albedo a look that clearly said, how could you not know that? Albedo shrugged, seemingly unfazed by Raynor's disapproval. Well, now I know, she said nonchalantly, taking a sip of her tea as if the conversation were nothing out of the ordinary. I turned my attention back to Raynor. So, Raynor, you mentioned that your superiors sent you here to find a sacred gear. Yes, that's correct, she confirmed. Then why are you on the streets hunting human? Raynor's expression shifted, her violet eyes darting nervously as she searched for a suitable response. It was clear that my question had caught her off guard, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction at seeing her squirm. I was not hunting humans, I was just weeding out the ones who could become dangerous to us, fallen angels, she replied, her tone defensive. I arched an eyebrow skeptically, unconvinced by her explanation. Weeding out, that's a creative way to put it, I remarked dryly, exchanging a knowing glance with Albedo. Albedo, for her part, merely nodded in agreement, her expression unreadable as she continued to sip her tea. Raynor shifted uncomfortably under our scrutiny, clearly feeling the weight of our skepticism. Look, I have my orders, she insisted, her voice tinged with frustration. I'm just doing what I have to do to fulfill them. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sympathy for Raynor. After all, I knew what it was like to be caught between duty and personal convictions. But at the same time, I couldn't ignore the fact that her actions had put innocent lives at risk. Did your superiors know that you were hunting humans in the territory managed by two heiresses of great devil families? I pressed, determined to get to the bottom of the matter. Raynor hesitated, her gaze flickering nervously as she weighed her options. It was clear that she was torn between loyalty to her superiors and the realization that she had overstepped her bounds. Well, they may have had an idea, she admitted reluctantly, her voice trailing off. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow at Raynor's response. It seemed like she was trying to downplay the severity of her actions, but her hesitance betrayed her true feelings. Oh, I doubt that, I interjected, my tone laced with skepticism. From what I know, the leader of the fallen angels is someone who doesn't have any interest in waging war. Raynor's eyes widened in surprise, clearly caught off guard by my assertion. It was clear that she hadn't expected me to be aware of the inner workings of her organization. Who told you that? She asked, her voice tinged with curiosity. I shrugged nonchalantly, keeping my expression carefully neutral. Let's just say I have my sources, I replied cryptically, not wanting to reveal too much too soon. Raynor frowned, clearly frustrated by my evasiveness. It was clear that she was starting to realize that she wasn't way over her head. Look, Raynor, I'm not here to play games, I said, my tone firm. I need to know the truth, and I need to know it now. Raynor sighed, her shoulders slumping in defeat. It was clear that she had run out of excuses, and she knew it. Fine, she said, her voice resigned. The truth is, my superiors sent me here to retrieve a sacred gear that they believe is hidden in this town. They didn't explicitly tell me to hunt humans. Raynor's confession didn't surprise me much. It seemed like her superiors had sent her on a wild goose chase, hoping to stumble upon a sacred gear hidden in a little town. Typical. Now for the important question, when is Asia Argento coming? I inquired, eager to gather all the pieces of this puzzling situation. Raynor hesitated for a moment before responding, her tone laced with a hint of disdain. Before I tell you, you do know that she is a witch. So don't hold any empathy towards her, she said, trying to cast Asia in a negative light. I couldn't help but roll my eyes inwardly at Raynor's attempt to slander Asia's reputation. Sure, Asia might have her quirks, but calling her a witch was a bit of a stretch. She was more like an air-headed bunny who couldn't harm a fly if she tried. I'll keep that in mind, I replied casually, not wanting to give Raynor the satisfaction of thinking her words had any effect on me. Raynor sighed, her shoulders slumping in defeat. It seemed like she had finally realized that her attempts to manipulate me weren't getting her anywhere. Fine, she said, her voice resigned. Asia is scheduled to arrive in town next week. I nodded, filing away the information for later. It seemed like our paths were destined to cross sooner rather than later. Tilde. Next bonus chapter on 15 OPS. You can join my Patreon for $3. Around 60 ad bonus chapter in my Patreon. You can also suggest plots for this FF. Support me. Patreon.com/blackbolt517. Next chapter. Overlord, the multiverse, chapter 82, chapter 82, a new made avatar. Raynor's reluctant admission about Asia's arrival didn't come as a shock. It seemed she had finally run out of excuses and decided to spill the beans. Now, that wasn't so hard, was it? I remarked with a smirk, feeling a sense of satisfaction at finally getting the information I needed. Raynor let out an exasperated sigh, clearly eager to be free of our interrogation. Can you let me go now? I've told you everything I know, she pleaded, her tone bordering on desperation. Let you go. Oh, I think I mentioned earlier that you were going to work as a maid under Yuri, I replied casually, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Raynor's eyes widened in disbelief, a mix of shock and indignation crossing her features. It was clear that she hadn't expected such a fate when she set foot in our town. I couldn't help but chuckle at her reaction. The idea of Raynor, a fallen angel, being reduced to the role of a maid was almost too amusing to bear. But don't worry, Raynor, you'll find that being a maid has its perks, I added with a mischievous twinkle in my eye, hoping to lighten the mood with a bit of humor. Raynor's protest fell on deaf ears as Albedo, unable to contain her annoyance any longer, stepped forward with a menacing aura. You worm, she addressed Raynor, her voice dripping with disdain. You are given the glorious opportunity to become a maid of the Supreme Being, and you are complaining about that. I couldn't help but smirk at Albedo's dramatic flair. She certainly knew how to make a point, even if it was a bit over the top. And judging by the murderous glint in her eyes, it was clear that she wasn't joking around. Beside her, Yuri remained silent, her expression mirroring Albedo's annoyance. It seemed that they both shared the sentiment that Raynor's reluctance was unwarranted. Then, with a deadly seriousness that sent shivers down my spine, Albedo turned her gaze towards me. Allow me to end her pitiful existence, my lord, she requested, her tone leaving no room for argument. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow at her bold suggestion. While I appreciated her dedication to my well-being, I couldn't exactly condone murder of potential harem member, especially not in my own apartment. Let's not be too hasty, Albedo, I interjected, holding up a hand to forestall any further violence. While I appreciate your enthusiasm, I think we can find a more diplomatic solution to this predicament. Albedo's expression softened slightly at my words, but the fire in her eyes remained undiminished. It was clear that she was still itching for a fight, and I had to tread carefully to avoid setting her off. But, my lord, Albedo protested, her tone pleading, she's a weak fallen angel. She doesn't deserve mercy. I couldn't deny that Rene's actions had been less than admirable, but I couldn't bring myself to condone such extreme measures either. After all, I prided myself on being a fair and just ruler, even if it meant showing mercy to those who didn't deserve it. What a gentleman I become. Let's give her a chance to redeem herself, I suggested, hoping to appease Albedo without resorting to violence. Perhaps serving as a maid will teach her a thing or two about humility and respect. Albedo's expression softened slightly at my words, though the fire in her eyes still burned brightly. It seemed that she was reluctantly willing to give my suggestion a chance, even if she wasn't entirely convinced. Very well, my lord, Albedo conceded, her voice tinged with begrudging acceptance. But if she steps out of line even once. I promise, Albedo, I reassured her, holding up a hand in a gesture of peace. If Rene causes any trouble, you'll be the first to know. With that settled, I turned my attention back to Rene, who stood before us with a mixture of defiance and resignation in her eyes. It was clear that she knew she had no choice but to comply with our demands, at least for the time being. Rene, I addressed her, my tone firm but not unkind. You have been given a second chance. Make the most of it, and perhaps you'll find that being a maid isn't as bad as you think. Rene's response was a curt nod, her expression unreadable. It seemed that she had finally come to terms with her fate, whether she liked it or not. As she followed Yuri out of the room, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. Now then, Albedo, I have something to tell you, I said, catching her attention as she stood there, her eyes still burning with determination. What is it, my Lao? Albedo responded, her voice softening as she succumbed to her affectionate tendencies. Ah, Albedo and her unwavering devotion. It was both endearing and slightly overwhelming, but I didn't mind it in the least. After all, having someone as dedicated as Albedo by my side could certainly come in handy. Today, you will meet an important person of mine, I announced, watching as curiosity sparked in Albedo's eyes. An important person, she echoed, her interest piqued. Who could it be? I couldn't resist teasing her a bit before revealing the truth. I'm not going to say who it is, but I'll just say that she's someone who holds a special place in my heart and she's the reason why I was able to meet all of you. Albedo's eyes widened with anticipation, her excitement palpable. Oh, I can't wait to meet her, she exclaimed. I chuckled at her enthusiasm, unable to resist her infectious energy. I'm sure you'll get along famously. Tilda. Next bonus chapter on 15 OPS. You can join my Patreon for $3. Around 60 ad bonus chapter in my Patreon. You can also suggest plots for this FF. Support me. Patreon.com/blackbolt517. Next chapter. Overlord, the multiverse, chapter 83, chat with Death Avatar. Bonus chapter for 15 OPS. In Death's Domini. In the ethereal realm of Death's domain, Albedo and Yuri found themselves standing in space reminiscent of the grandeur of Nazarek's throne room. Yet, there was a distinct absence of the familiar banners and insignia that adorned their beloved fortress. The throne before them held a regal figure, an exquisitely beautiful woman whose striking appearance commanded attention. Her hair cascaded in contrasting hues, one side black as midnight, the other a pristine white. Scarlet eyes, sharp and piercing, regarded them with an intensity that sent shivers down their spines. Lady Albedo, where are we? Yuri's voice broke the silence, her eyes darting around the unfamiliar surroundings with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Albedo, ever composed, took a moment to gather her thoughts before responding. I'm not entirely certain, but Lord Alexander did mention that I would be meeting someone important to him, she replied, her gaze never wavering from the enigmatic figure on the throne. From the looks of it, we are in the presence of that person. As they approached the throne, the air seemed to crackle with anticipation, each step echoing in the vastness of Death's domain. Albedo and Yuri exchanged a glance, a silent acknowledgement of the gravity of their situation. Welcome, Albedo, Yuri, the woman on the throne spoke, her voice carrying a weight that seemed to reverberate through the very fabric of the realm. I have been expecting you. Albedo inclined her head respectfully, a subtle gesture of acknowledgement towards the mysterious figure before them. It was a silent recognition of the person who played a pivotal role in bringing Lord Alexander into their lives. Forgive us, but we find ourselves at a loss. May I inquire as to who you are and why we have been brought here? Albedo's voice was calm yet tinged with curiosity, her demeanor a reflection of her unwavering loyalty to her master. The woman's scarlet eyes sparkled with amusement, a mischievous smile playing on her lips as she revealed her identity. I am Death, she declared simply, her words carrying a weight that resonated through the chamber. Death, as in the entity Lord Alexander fought and defeated. Albedo's surprise was palpable, her mind racing to comprehend the significance of their encounter with such a formidable being. Death's smile widened, a hint of mischief dancing in her scarlet gaze. Oh, yes, indeed, she confirmed, her tone laced with a touch of amusement. The very same Death your dear master triumphed over, bullied. Albedo exchanged a glance with Yuri, a silent acknowledgement passing between them as they absorbed the revelation. If Death was here before them, then there must be a reason beyond mere chance. And why have you summoned us here, Death? Albedo inquired, her voice steady despite the uncertainty that lingered in her heart. The enigmatic figure on the throne chuckled softly, her scarlet eyes glinting with amusement. Ah, my dear Albedo, Yuri, she began, her tone carrying a sense of familiarity. I have summoned you here to formally introduce myself. Albedo's brow furrowed in confusion, her mind racing to comprehend the meaning behind Death's words. Introduce yourself, she repeated, a note of skepticism creeping into her voice. Yes, indeed, Death replied with a nod, her smile taking on a more solemn tone. I am Alexander's lover, his first wife, his partner in bed. But you were Lord Alexander's enemy, Albedo insisted, her voice tinged with disbelief. He fought against you, triumphed over you. Death's smile remained serene, her scarlet gaze unwavering as she addressed Albedo's concerns. Enemy, no, my dear, I was never his enemy, she explained calmly. I am Death, the inevitable end that awaits all living beings. But Alexander, he is different, he defied me, challenged my authority, and in doing so, he captured my heart. Albedo's mind reeled at the revelation, her thoughts swelling with a mixture of confusion and awe. If Death was speaking the truth, then Lord Alexander's actions had been far more profound than she had ever imagined. But why summon us here now? Yuri interjected, her voice echoing the curiosity that Albedo felt. What purpose does this serve? Death's expression softened, a fondness shining in her scarlet eyes as she regarded the two guardians before her. I have summoned you here to offer my blessings, she explained, her tone gentle yet resolute. As Alexander's beloved, you are dear to me as well, and I wish to ensure your happiness and well-being as you continue to serve by his side. Albedo and Yuri exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. If Death, the eternal mistress of endings, was offering her blessings, then it was a gift beyond measure. We are grateful for your kindness, Death, Albedo replied, her voice filled with sincerity. We shall continue to serve Lord Alexander to the best of our abilities. As Albedo uttered those words, the atmosphere around them shifted abruptly, and before they knew it, Albedo and Yuri found themselves in an open area bathed in soft light. Albedo, Yuri, come here, Death beckoned, gesturing towards a cozy setup with 3 cups of tea and pastries laid out before them. We've had a long day, so why don't we have a private girls' chat? Death suggested with a warm smile, her demeanor far removed from the imposing presence they had previously experienced. She looked more like a teenage girl ready for a casual hangout rather than the embodiment of Death. Albedo and Yuri exchanged surprised glances, taken aback by the sudden change in Death's demeanor. But they couldn't deny the appeal of a relaxed conversation with this enigmatic figure. Of course, Death, Albedo replied, a hint of curiosity lacing her voice. We would be honored to join you. Yuri nodded in agreement, her usual stoic expression softening with a subtle smile. Thank you for the invitation, she added politely. Settling down around the makeshift tea table, the three of them began to chat about Alexander. Death even shared some of Alexander's kinks. God knows, but Yuri and Albedo is going to do with that knowledge. Tilde. You can join my Patreon for $3. Around 60 ad bonus chapter in my Patreon. You can also suggest plots for this FF. Support me. Patreon.com/blackbolt517. Next chapter. Overlord, the multiverse, chapter 84. Chapter 84. Welcome to the peerage of Avatar. Next morning, Core Town, Izzy's house. As the shrill sound of her alarm clock pierced the silence of her room, Izzy groaned and rubbed her eyes, trying to shake off the remnants of sleep. With a groggy hand, she fumbled for the off button, silencing the incessant beeping that had rudely interrupted her dreams. As she turned off the alarm, Izzy's eyes widened in surprise as she realized she was lying naked in bed. What was the dream? And I've been stripped of my clothes, she muttered to herself, a bemused expression crossing her face. Her gaze shifted to the figure covered by a blanket beside her, and confusion flickered in her eyes. Who was she? Izzy wondered aloud, her mind struggling to piece together the events of the previous night. With a hesitant hand, Izzy reached out and lifted the blanket, revealing a stunning red-headed girl with ample assets. Izzy's heart skipped a beat as she recognized the crimson-haired beauty. It was Rhea's Gremory, one of Core Academy's two great ladies. A rush of emotions flooded through Izzy as she tried to make sense of the situation. Had she and Rhea's? No, it couldn't be. They didn't even know each other well enough for something like this to happen. Besides, Izzy considered herself straight. She had no interest in women. Swallowing nervously, Izzy tried to recall the events of the previous night, but her memory was hazy at best. She remembered being with Mittel, showing her around town. And then, she couldn't remember anything else. How had she ended up here with Rhea's? As Izzy's mind raced with questions, Rhea's began to stir, her eyelashes fluttering as she slowly woke from her slumber. Good morning, Rhea's greeted, her voice soft and husky from sleep. Good morning, Izzy replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She couldn't bring herself to meet Rhea's gaze, feeling a flush of embarrassment creeping up her cheeks. Rhea's chuckled softly, a playful glint in her eyes. I hope it's not too much of a shock, she teased, stretching lazily beneath the blanket. Izzy shook her head, her cheeks still burning with embarrassment. No, not at all, she managed to say, though her voice sounded strained even to her own ears. As the awkward silence stretched between them, Izzy's mind raced with 1,000 thoughts and questions. How had she ended up in bed with Rhea's? And more importantly, what did it mean for their relationship now? But before Izzy could dwell on her thoughts any further, Rhea's reached out and gently brushed a stray strand of hair from Izzy's face, her touch sending shivers down Izzy's spine. Relax, Izzy, Rhea's said, her tone gentle and reassuring. We didn't do anything, I just have a habit of sleeping naked. Izzy's eyes widened in surprise, a wave of relief washing over her. Oh, thank goodness, she breathed, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. With a warm smile, Rhea's leaned in and placed a chaste kiss on Izzy's forehead, the gesture filled with a sense of reassurance and understanding. Don't worry, everything's okay, she murmured softly. But just as Izzy began to relax into Rhea's comforting presence, her words took a sudden turn, catching Izzy off guard. Besides the fact that you've become a devil, Rhea's added casually, as if discussing the weather. Izzy's eyes widened in disbelief, her mind struggling to process the unexpected revelation. Wait, what? She exclaimed, her voice tinged with disbelief. I've become a devil. Rhea's chuckle echoed in the room, a hint of mischief dancing in her eyes as she watched Izzy's bewildered expression. Yes, last night, you were killed by a fallen angel, she explained calmly, her tone belying the seriousness of her words. Izzy's jaw dropped in shock, her mind struggling to comprehend the revelation. Wait, what? I was killed, she stammered, her voice trembling with disbelief. Rhea's nodded solemnly, her blue eyes reflecting the gravity of the situation. Yes, Izzy, you were attacked by a fallen angel, but don't worry, I managed to save you in time, she reassured, her voice gentle yet firm. As Rhea spoke, Izzy's gaze drifted to the bat-like wings and tail that had sprouted from Rhea's back, a visual reminder of the supernatural world that she had now been thrust into. It was a lot to take in, but Izzy stayed calm and composed as if this was no big deal. Even Izzy didn't know how she was able to stay calm. I don't understand, Izzy murmured, her mind racing with questions. Why would a fallen angel attack me? And how did you save me? Rhea sighed, her expression somber as she recalled the events of the previous night. The fallen angel was after you because of your potential as a sacred gear wielder, she explained, her voice tinged with regret. And as for how I saved you, well, let's just say that I have my ways. Izzy's eyes widened in awe at Rhea's cryptic response, her curiosity piqued by the mention of sacred gears. So, what happens now? Izzy asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Rhea's smile softened, her gaze filled with reassurance as she reached out to grasp Izzy's hand in hers. Now, you are part of my peerage, Izzy, she said, her tone gentle yet resolute. Together, we'll navigate the dangers of the supernatural world and protect each other from harm. Izzy felt a surge of gratitude towards Rhea's, her heart swelling with a newfound sense of purpose. She may have been killed by a fallen angel, but now she had been given a second chance at life, thanks to Rhea's intervention. With a determined nod, Izzy met Rhea's gaze with unwavering resolve. I'm ready, she said, her voice steady despite the uncertainty that still lingered in her heart. I'll do whatever it takes to fulfill my duties as your servant, Rhea-sama. Rhea's smile widened at Izzy's declaration, a sense of pride evident in her eyes. Welcome to the peerage, Izzy, she said warmly, squeezing Izzy's hand in a reassuring gesture. Together, we'll conquer any obstacle that comes our way. Tilde. Support me through my Patreon. It would be a big help. Next bonus chapter on 15 OPS. You can join my Patreon for $3. Around 60 ad bonus chapter in my Patreon. Support me. Patreon.com/blackbolt517. Next chapter. Overlord, the multiverse, chapter 85. Chapter 85, Occult Research Club Avatar. Time skip. 3 days had passed since my dramatic entrance in front of Rhea's, and yet I hadn't received a single call from her. Was she ignoring me? Did she forget about me already? Nah, that couldn't be it. I mean, come on, I made a grand entrance that even Hollywood would envy. Maybe Rhea's was just busy with Izzy's recent transformation into a devil. Yeah, that had to be it. I mean, turning into a devil is kind of a big deal, right? But still, a little heads up would have been nice. I mean, a simple, hey, Alexander, thanks for dropping in unannounced. We'll chat later would have sufficed. Was it too much to ask? As I pondered the possible reasons for Rhea's silence, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of annoyance. I mean, I had gone through all the trouble of planning a grand entrance, and for what? Radio silence. Just as I was trying to focus on the lesson, the familiar sound of chatter and excitement erupted from the entrance of the classroom. I couldn't help but wonder what all the fuss was about. OMG, it's him. He's so hot. Kiba Cakes is here. Well, that certainly got my attention. I looked up to see Kiba, the school heartthrob, strolling into the room with an air of confidence. It was like watching a celebrity make their grand entrance. Now, ladies, calm down. I'm just here looking for someone, Kiba said, his charm oozing from every word. Kiba is a handsome young man with short blonde hair, blue eyes, bluish-grey eyes in the anime, and a mole underneath his left eye. He wears the core academy boys' school uniform, which consists of a black blazer with white accents over white, long-sleeved dress shirt with a black ribbon on the collar, matching black pants, and brown dress shoes. Pick. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at the adoring gazes of my classmate. It was like watching a pack of fangirls in action. As Cuba scanned the room, his eyes finally landed on me. He made his way over with purpose, stopping next to my desk. I'm here to get you as a task from Ree's Brewery, he announced casually. Ah, right, got it, I replied, standing up to follow him. Little did I know, my simple agreement would send the entire classroom into a frenzy. What? He's here for him. This can't be true. Kiba X Alexander, exclaimed one particularly perverted girl. I couldn't help but groan internally at the absurdity of it all. Did they really think Kiba was here to whisk me away into some romantic fairy tale? Yeah, calm down. I won't drain all his pimp juice, I muttered under my breath, earning myself a cross on my forehead from annoyance. With that, Kiba led me out of the classroom and towards the old school building, which now served as the headquarters for the Occult Research Club. As we entered the clubroom, I couldn't help but be surprised by how fancy it was. I mean, I knew they were the cool kids on campus, but this was next level. As we stepped into the cozy clubroom, my eyes immediately landed on Kunko, who was lounging on one of the couches, nonchalantly enjoying her chocolate snack. So, she's Kunko, huh? Shorter than I expected. I couldn't help but think to myself as I took in her petite frame and white hair. She looked like she belonged in some kind of anime with those gold eyes and cute cat-shaped hair clips. Given that I was already in the anime. Pick. So this is where our club has our meetings. Just wait here, and the president will be right out, Kiba explained as he exited the room. As my eyes scanned the room, they caught sight of a silhouette behind the curtain, unmistakably taking a shower. Very nice, I couldn't help but think, my gaze lingering on the outline of Reese's body. It's not nice to peep, you know, came Kunko's monotone voice, snapping me out of my reverie. Who's peeping? I'm not peeping, I protested defensively, but Kunko just rolled her eyes in response. Ara. Before I could come up with a witty retort, a melodious voice chimed in from behind me. I turned my head like an owl to find one of Core Academy's two great ladies, Akeno. Pick. You must be Alexander. It's nice to meet you. I'm Akeno, the vice president of the club. She greeted me warmly, balancing a tray of tea in her hands. Ah, yeah, hello, I replied. Come on now, don't be nervous. I don't bite, Akeno reassured me, noting my lack of response. That's not it. I'm just amazed at the fact your shirt looks like it's about to burst open. I couldn't help but think, my eyes inadvertently drifting to the two milkers that were straining against the fabric, threatening to pop a button. Before the awkward silence could stretch any further, Reyes emerged from behind the curtain, looking every bit the regal figure I had expected. Her hair was still damp from the shower, and there were small droplets of water glistening on her skin. It was clear she was trying to make an impression. But sorry, Reyes, seduction tactics won't work on me. I may be a man of commitment, but that doesn't mean my eyes are immune to a little distraction. Sorry to keep you waiting, she apologized, her presence commanding the attention of everyone in the room. Tilde. A voting poll just started in my Patreon to decide which would he should go next, so you can go to Patreon to cast your vote. Only 2 options given. Support me through my Patreon. It would be a big help. Next bonus chapter on 15 OPS. You can join my Patreon for $3. Around 60 ad bonus chapter in my Patreon. Support me. Patreon.com/blackbolt517. Next chapter. Overlord, the multiverse, chapter 86, Occult Research Club 1 Avatar. Sorry to keep you waiting, Reyes apologized, gracefully taking a seat opposite me. Despite her still damp hair and the slight dampness of her clothing, she exuded an air of elegance that was hard to ignore. It's alright, Reyes, it's not like I'm in any hurry, I replied, trying to play it cool. But let's be real, seeing Reyes in her bathwear was like stumbling upon a rare delicacy in a sea of mediocrity. As we settled into the conversation, I couldn't help but sneak glances at her. I mean, who wouldn't? She was like a walking, talking work of art, and I didn't mean that in any perverted sense. So, how's Izzy? After all, she's a new devil, I asked, trying to steer the conversation to safer territory. She's doing just fine. In fact, I think she adjusted to being a devil rather quickly. Maybe that's because of the spell you cast on her, Reyes said with a thoughtful expression. Ah, so my little intervention had worked its magic after all. It was good to know that Izzy was settling into her new devilish life without too much trouble. Maybe I wasn't such a bad influence after all. That's good to hear, I replied. Just then, a knocking sound echoed through the room, interrupting our conversation. Akeno, open the door. It must be Sona, Reyes instructed, her attention shifting towards the entrance. Then she turned to me with a hopeful look. Sona is my friend, so I hope you don't mind her being here. I nodded in understanding, though secretly I couldn't help but wonder what kind of chaos Sona might bring with her. As Akeno swung the door open, a tall, elegant woman entered the room, her presence commanding attention. Behind her trailed Tsubaki, the vice president of the student council and queen of Sona's peerage. Tsubaki is a young bespectacled woman with long straight black hair that extends all the way down to her knees, with split bangs and heterochromic eyes, with a violet left eye and a light brown right eye. In addition to wearing the Core Academy girls' school uniform, she also wears blue, semi-rimmed glasses with square lenses. Pick. Looks like you've already started without me, Reyes, Sona remarked, her eyes sweeping the room with keen interest. Reyes greeted her friend with a warm smile. Sona, welcome, and don't worry, we were just getting started, she reassured, gesturing towards me and the others seated in the room. Sona's gaze fell upon me, her